Good morning and welcome to episode 65 of Take a Break with me, Andrew Reid from Resilient Business Systems. No Adam again. Wish you well, my friend. Hopefully everything going well. And today, two lovely guests. See, I said lovely this time, Jason. Last time it was like, yeah, whatever. So Jason Gurney from the Darlington Business Centre Club.
Darlington
Yeah,
Business
I
Club.
knew it. I've not enough coffee. I've not enough coffee yet. And a very special, lovely lady. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Andy. My name's Jacky Stansfield-Smith. I know we've met briefly at the Business Club in passing, haven't we?
Absolutely.
And I'm here representing my new business, which is called Incluscape.
Ooh, tell me more.
Well, a little bit of background about the name.
Please, yeah.
So the name, I think that's one of the most difficult things to come up with when you're starting a business, isn't it?
Yes.
I thought it was just me. But then other people I've spoken with, they said that is really tricky because, you know, you want to get it right. You're going to be stuck with this name for a long time and you want it really to say what you do as much as possible, which yours does, which is great. People can see that.
Although
exactly
I did change it twice.
Right.
So I started with one name, which was complete rubbish.
Right.
And then I changed it to I think it was something like The Doctor or something, but again, that didn't think. And Adam, bless him, he always tells the story. So Adam's company is Hub Spoke Media, and it's all based upon the cycle wheel. But he was sat in his kitchen and his garage thinking, what do I call the business on his very first day? And then he came up, he was fixing his wheel with a spanner, a ratchet spanner, and he went, oh, ratchet marketing. No, that's not quite right, because other people might think rat. Yeah, but it was ratchet. So yeah, very, very difficult coming up with a company name.
Yeah, I agree. So I wrestled with that. And it really became a bit of a sticking point because I couldn't move forward with a website or branding without getting this name right. And really what I did was combine the two words inclusive and landscape. Because that's what the new business is all about. Combined the two and came up with Incluscape, and I'm quite happy with that so far.
I think it's a real catchy name. So what does Incluscape do?
So really my main objective with the new business is to help businesses create a new culture in the workplace.
Right.
Particularly around inclusivity, very much focused on neurodiversity.
Right.
So it's about speaking with businesses and helping them with their neurodiverse culture, understand what neurodiversity is.
Yeah.
But if they've already got a good handle on that, I can then help them with more of their processes and policies.
Oh gosh, so when did you come up with the idea of that? It's fascinating.
Well, it was a combination, again, of a couple of things.
Right.
So I have really, my background started in the military.
Right.
When I left home at 18. I'm local. I'm from Newton Aycliffe.
Ah, right, okay.
It was quite a strange thing to do in the late 80s for a girl that I was then to leave the tech. I went to Darlington Tech.
Yes.
And sign up to join the army. It was a fairly unusual thing to do. But I did that, really enjoyed military life and was really quite involved with logistics. I worked at Smurfit for a while once I left. Once I left the military, got involved in sort of manufacturing and logistics a little bit. From there, stuck with it. So had a career in supply chain and really thought I would always do that. But earlier this year, just thought, I think I want to do something different. Now's the time to do it.
Absolutely. If I don't do it now, I'll never do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I've always really had this passion about, well, my youngest son has autism and has ADHD. And sort of spend a lot of time with him really working with, help him through education. Yeah. And he's 17 now. So really for the last year, my mind's shifted a little bit. He's at college, he's loving it. But my mind's shifted a bit to be, well, what about the workplace? What does that look like for neurodiverse people? And the more research I did about it, the more I realised that, there's a lot happening out there, and there is, which is great, but there's certainly place for more to happen.
More, absolutely.
Especially if you're a collaborative mind, which I am. I'm not a person that thinks, there's a lot of it going on, there's not a place for me. I think there's a lot more can be done, and I feel as though I can contribute to that. Certainly here in the Northeast, that's what I feel I can focus on the Northeast and really help businesses with just the whole process.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So I've had a bit of time to think about things. I'm actually launching in January, which has been good. It's sort of, I'm not rushed into it.
No.
I've made sure that I know what I'm doing, but also that I'm doing what I think is the right thing. So the integrity's there and I'm not rushing into it. So what I've done, Andy, is developed a framework that I've called the Belong Framework.
Nice.
And the whole process is around belonging, because there's a famous quote from a lady called Brené Brown, and her quote, and it stuck with me for a long time, her quote is, "The opposite of fitting in is belonging."
Very
and
good.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Doesn't
to think a lot of people, they're fitting in.
Yeah.
And it's hard work for them to fit in because the workplace isn't really suitable for them. You know, it could be lots of things. Too loud.
You could work with Jason.
Yeah, it could exactly. It could be this whole social element of it could be really difficult. That's
I keep
it,
telling him I
exactly.
like him. I don't really.
I've got it on there. It's on audio that
Yeah,
he
I'll
actually
show you.
said that, so I'll show you that one later.
Yeah. I also tell him I love him as well.
Of course. Oh, well, if
tongue in
there's a
cheek.
balance, that's great. But yeah, you're right, though. It could be personalities.
Oh, gosh, absolutely.
And somebody that might have difficulty around social situations can find that really difficult
Yes.
to deal with.
Considering
Or it
you
could
spend a
be-
lot of your time, well, majority of your time at work, you've got to feel as though you fit in.
You do.
Otherwise, it's like, well, this is hard work every day.
Absolutely. So this framework is all built around how you can make people belong. And it's that feeling right from pre-recruitment, really. It's about creating the culture and making sure you're attracting the right talent as well, because
Yes.
that's key. A key message of mine is to speak to businesses and say, you know that you are really, if you're excluding neurodiverse people, it's going to have an impact on your business.
Yes.
Because neurodiverse people are often the ones that are going to spot patterns, be really innovative, and they find answers to your problems.
Yes.
So by excluding those people pre-recruitment, because
Yeah.
your recruitment process isn't very good, there's too many questions, or an AI system roots people out before you even see them,
Absolutely, yes.
then you are really putting yourself outside of the opportunity to meet these people and realise just what great employees they're going to be,
No,
and what an
exactly.
asset they can be for your business.
So do you feel, and I've got a story, there's a reason for this question, but do you feel that with your experience with your youngest son, you, and I'm going to say this politely, you feel you are the best positioned? Because obviously you do have that experience.
Right. Well, I don't, and I've been really careful about my positioning on this, in that I don't feel an expert
No.
on neurodiversity, because I think it can be very much be a lived experience, and everybody experiences it differently,
Yes.
whether they have ADHD, autism, dyslexia, dyspraxia, Tourette's, and it's different for every individual. But I thought what I can position myself as is an expert in the corporate world, because
Yes, that's where
where I'm coming
yes.
from.
Absolutely.
And so I know how businesses work.
Yes.
And I understand how recruiting within businesses work, and also developing people within business, and how that can be quite exclusionary if you're not doing it correctly.
Yes.
So, yes, my experience with Jacob, yes, definitely helps.
Yes, and that's
or
why I
it's
said
led
help.
me into it.
Correct.
Yes, you're right. But I will continue, no matter how long I do this for and how many businesses I speak
Hopefully
with.
a long time.
Yes, I'll be careful to sort of, I can really help with your workplace culture and make sure it's inclusive as possible with these policies and processes I can help
Yes.
you with. But in no way am I an expert in ADHD or
No.
autism, but I
No.
can help with your
Yeah.
culture.
Absolutely.
And really that's what processes and policies about, isn't it? Making it, from what I see and my experiences, if you have a good policy around something, it helps everyone, not just the neurodiverse people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so if it's a really good interview process that you have that allows people to be relaxed, not sat in front of a daunting panel, more of a chat,
Yeah.
in a quiet environment, perhaps offer them the questions ahead of time,
Yes.
then that's going to help everybody.
No, exactly. I
Yeah.
think so. So there's two things. The reason I asked that question, you may not know. There's a young lady down in London called Anna Kennedy, who is massively in terms of autism and things like that. She's actually my cousin.
Right.
So I've got a lot of experience with. She has a husband and 2 sons who are Asperger's and some of the other things. So I'm very aware of the environment that you've got to live on. She couldn't find a school to house both those children, so ended up mortgaging her own house and setting it up herself.
Right.
And that seems to be, from my experience of chatting with Anna, a theme that you've done exactly the same, thought there's not enough out there that I believe personally, and again, Anna doesn't believe that she's an expert, she just happens to live with 3 people that have it, but she's opened up a school and everybody suddenly flocked to her to go, oh my Lord, thank goodness for this. Because back then, and again, whilst it's not a touchy subject, I just feel as though sometimes not many people say what they think they should not say and what they should say. So when Anna set it up, the government, they didn't feel as though they knew enough to do it, hence they didn't do it. And I think if we respectfully say in the early days of when I'm looking around the room and chasing, we are of that age, that probably something, you'd always call that particular child, oh, he's a bit of those. Well, actually, he probably did have something like
right.
autism or something like that. But obviously, back then, we just classed him as, well, he's a bit slow, really, or they are a bit. And that was wrong back then, but we didn't know any better. And that's why I constantly get on the fence sometimes, like, yeah, but we didn't know any better back then, so we now are trying to retrospectively do this. The second thing is that whilst it didn't work out, and I'm not going to name him, we did offer an apprentice,
Right.
a job with, and he was on the spectrum, and I found him incredible in terms of I could show him things a few times and click, he'd got it. Absolutely 100% got it. The odd thing was that for him particularly, we have to sometimes randomly create a user's password for a computer. So I would look around the room and I would go, okay, light bulb. Yeah, and I would go, okay, pling, light bulb, chair, 73. There you go, there's a password for you. Ask this young lad to do that, and he would literally bunk.
Right.
I can't do it.
Right.
Because I've not led him up to the question, which is exactly what I picked up what you were saying. If I put him on the spot, absolutely just caved in. I was saying to him, so what did you do at the weekend? Blank. Because I hadn't led him up to the question. Whereas I learned to go, well, I had a great weekend. I was doing this. I was playing on my games. I did this. I spent time with this. I spent time with this. What did you do? Because he was then suddenly running with me, he worked with me.
Yeah.
Now, sadly, that didn't work for other reasons, nothing to do with him, nothing to do with us. We just felt as though, actually, that's not going to work. So thank you so much for your time. I wish you all the success in the future. But I believe it's important that I did offer that handout. He came from Darlington College and they told me he was on, and I was like, absolutely. Because of my experience, and obviously that's the same for you, I found him in some particular instances incredible.
Yeah, so
normally, I would have to show people 4, 5, 6, 9. Once,
Right.
I've got it. Wow.
That's been a really good experience for you,
Yes.
hasn't it? And probably a great experience for him. But
Oh,
you
absolutely.
completely understand. I've had a similar experience in that people with autism, not everyone with autism,
No.
they often find small talk really confusing.
Yes.
So when you sort of say, what kind of a weekend have you had? And I only know this from speaking with a lot of people with
Yes.
autism. They'll say, what do you want to know that for?
Yes.
You know, and,
Yes.
and it can make them quite anxious, especially Monday mornings can be quite an anxious-ridden time because they think, oh, I've got to make small talk with people. They're usually going to ask what I've done for the weekend or chat about the weather. And I don't really understand why. I just want that social back and forth can be quite confusing.
It is very confusing for those, isn't it?
But clearly you became aware of that, and the same thing with the passwords, and that's when you would make adjustments.
Yes.
But adjustments for him would probably work for everybody as well.
I think
It's all positive steps that help everybody. But it's getting experience in that, isn't it? And thinking, right, what adjustments do I need to make this person comfortable so that they're not worrying about having to create a password. Here's a list of 20 you can use in the future.
Absolutely.
We'll take that off the table. You don't have to worry about that
And
anymore.
that's the key that I was trying to get across, Jacky.
Yes.
I think people, nowadays we run such a fast-paced world.
Right.
People, I believe, certainly, and obviously I'm 50 year, I believe we've lost a lot of patience with a lot of things. And we could probably say that in a different environment, some people might have said, oh my God, he can't even think of his own password. Right. And that is really bad in terms of that. And I believe that having the experience with Anna and her 2 children and her husband has allowed me to adjust. But I don't think anybody nowadays has got time to adjust.
That's right.
And that's a really sad thing. The other thing, there's two other. I've got loads of great stories about this, but another one is I remember my son when he was young. He had a friend who was slightly, as we called it, he was diagnosed. And I remember one day opening the door and he went, oh, I'm here to see James, my son. And I just laughed and he went, yeah, he's told me he doesn't want to see you. He turned round and walked away.
Right.
Because again, going back to what you were saying, socially, he just thought, it's black and white. He doesn't want to see me. And I'm like, no, wait. I was joking. I'm really sorry. Because again, I'm like, sorry. So again, thinking, mustn't do that again.
Yes,
because
that's
he
right.
absolutely took it as black and white.
Yes, and I've had a lot of experience with that, especially.
Imagine.
Now I sort of get it. Was that sarcasm? So I get asked that now, and just sort of, yeah, I was being sarcastic because, yeah, it can be really confusing, but it's all a learning experience, and yeah, quite often. But like I say, it's different for everyone. But picking up on your point, Andy, about when people say, "Oh, everyone's got a bit of autism, haven't they?" And you're like, no. Or everyone's a bit of ADHD, it's all a spectrum. No, that's not how it works. It is a diagnosed condition that means that people's brains work differently. We're not all a bit that.
No.
But you're right when people also say, well, they didn't used to have autism back in my day.
Absolutely.
Well, of course there was.
Yes.
When we look back, you're quite right, look back at people we grew up with, people in our class at school, in our year at school. Those people, the young people as they were really struggling.
Yes.
And finding life really difficult, confusing, and they didn't know why. And quite often people are getting late diagnosis now, and they're thinking, thank goodness I've been diagnosed. I now know why life has been pretty tricky for me.
Yes.
And thank goodness we've got that. And that nowadays people are more aware, more likely to get a diagnosis, although it's not easy, as you'll be able to be aware
Absolutely
with your
not.
family situation. That's not straightforward.
No.
But there's long waiting lists, but it's happening more and more that people have got the diagnosis, therefore able to access help that they need.
Absolutely.
Whether that's one-to-one support through school or just in adults simply having that diagnosis. Some people don't seek it. They say, oh, actually, no, I don't need it. I know I don't need the label. Other people say it's not really a label. It just it's an explanation
Absolutely.
of why I might find some situations difficult, why I might get a bit overwhelmed in busy situations, like our business club, the networking event. I mean, I know that we all love it. And there'll be people there who are neurodiverse because figures lean towards the fact probably 20% of the population are neurodiverse. So it would make sense that people in the business club, there's a number of neurodiverse people there, and they've probably picked up tactics through their life of how to, I want to meet new people, I want to network, I want to talk about my business. Right, I'll take some deep breaths before I go in. They'll have some tactics to cope with it, and then they'll do it, get through it, and probably need a bit of a breather when they get home and a chill out when they get home.
I get that. Sorry to bring yourself in. I was just about to bring yourself in.
So on that one, I mean, Donna.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to say.
So we've got disabled children with bipolar, autism, and ADHD.
Right.
Now, Donna grew up with that, thinking what was wrong, and it wasn't until she was in her 30s that her dad actually said, "Yeah, I was diagnosed back in the 70s." At which point she's like, "Why didn't you tell me this?" She then got diagnosed, which was like that light bulb moment for her. Right, that explains certain things for Donna.
Yes.
But for years, Donna wouldn't come to the business club. And
Correct.
You'll remember this,
Absolutely,
Andy.
yeah.
When she first come, it was like a rabbit in the
Headlights.
Right.
Absolutely.
She
right.
didn't know what to do. And so I looked at that, because obviously I was seeing what was going on, and like you were saying about the, is that a joke? And the amount of time she has to say to Ben, who lives at home with her still, I mean, he's 28 and all that, he's winding you up. It's a joke. You know, so there's always that look when I'm saying something, if he's not quite sure, he looks at his mum, just for the nod or the thumbs up, like, and he's like, right, okay. And then he'll either come back with something quirky for him that I'm then like looking at Donna thinking, I don't understand that one.
Yeah.
But there's that. But going back to this, how you can help people, it was like I said to Donna, right, you're coming into the room and you don't know what to do. Go on the help desk, and it was Valerie at the
It
time,
was at the time,
as
yes.
one of our directors. I said, go and help Valerie at the desk.
And
so
Donna
all you've got
loves
to do,
helping
you
people.
You talk to people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly
She
right.
loves that. She's in her element. I said, so all you're doing is saying hello, evening.
Correct.
You know, giving them, taking the name, ticking them off the list, and giving them a card, with the name badge. She was like, I can do that.
Yeah.
But then when she got to sitting down, and I can remember one time it was like, right, do 60 seconds. And it was one of those, I'd got so used to it, and I forgot she was sat in the room. I says, right, okay, we're going to go around the table and stand up and do 60 seconds or whatever. And she just looked, and I can remember her looking at me as if like, you didn't tell me that was happening.
Absolutely.
What do I say?
Yeah.
So I then sort of added on to that. If you don't want to do it, just do the swipe.
Yes.
Just say, go past me, I'm not ready for that. I said, because you don't have to do it. We're not trying to put you into a position. So it's like you say, we're always, all of us are learning all of the time.
Absolutely.
And it's picking up bits that, actually, Andy's picked something up, or he's done something there, and it's like, that's a good way if he's handled that. So we can learn from others as well. So.
On the downside, Donna doesn't shut up now.
Well,
Sorry, Donna, I love you totally. But no, it's been
Yes.
great to see Donna come out.
She has.
And one of the other things I was going to say, picking up on what you said, Jacky, when we were at the Celebrating Women in Business, the little lemon drops and the cough sweets or whatever it is, because it was her way of dealing with it. At the time, when she mentioned it, I can remember going, why? But in my head going, why? Then quickly going, I get it now. And I just went, is that your way of coping? And instantly she relaxed with me and she went, yeah, it is. Thank you. And I went, that's okay.
And that's great, isn't it? And I think that all of these things that we've individually learned, but then also people that are either autistic or have ADHD, they're much more open and willing to speak about their experiences. If we can get all of that into a template that I can go into businesses and say, look, if you implement this in your meetings, for example, your meetings are going to be far more inclusive for everybody there. If you don't spring things on people, if the agenda's really clear and there's no surprises, then it'll be a better experience for everyone. So it's about getting all of that into a process for businesses, and that's how it's going to work.
And I think that's where the business club itself, Darlington Business Club, is going to help, because we've got a platform there where we've got, however many members and guests attending. As a topic, that's something in the new year we can look at you and say, well, actually, do you know what, Jacky? Let's have you as a guest speaker at the club to talk about that, roundtable discussions.
Absolutely
because
right.
I can guarantee when I look at the room and I've seen the members, that 20%, I can see it in the room. I don't want to name people.
No.
But you can see things there, and it's like, right, okay. Or they've got experience because they're thinking ahead, And I just think sharing, which is what the club is about, about
definitely.
Collaboration and sharing. So that would be a great...
I think so. But I think it's back to what I was saying again, though, Jason. It's about people having... And again, I'm going to get on my soapbox. It's about people having common decency to appreciate other people and not label them and not just... But, we are a human race where I think 90% of people want to help each other. And sadly, we do live in a world where the odd bad person makes a whole name for everything. We all have cybersecurity because we have some idiots that are out there hacking people. But 90% of the people out there aren't bad. It's just a small percentage of people. But understanding and working with these types of things, and again, I'm going to leave it, but I've got a huge success story about my cousin, which I'm very, very proud of. But Resilient have always had a history of giving people these opportunities. And again, in our early days, again, sadly it didn't work, but that's because he wanted to leave. He didn't believe IT was for him, but that was after 2.5 years.
Right.
The one thing that I remember about this gentleman...
You could see that as a success, really, couldn't
I
you?
can
2.5
absolutely
years.
see it as a
Yes.
success. But the one thing, and I'll call him George, one of the things that I found, I wouldn't say funny to me, and I mean this respectfully to George, but we live in a world, we live in a business where somebody would ask for something, Jacky. So this particular person said, can I do this? Okay, now he was the owner of the company, okay? So it came to George, and George basically started writing the email and go, no, you can't have it.
Right.
Black and white. And I obviously went, can you look at this please, Andy? And I went, oh my goodness me, you can't say that. But again, harking back to why? It's the absolute truth. And I termed with it as calling it, eventually I said, you need to flower it up. Because some people can't accept the word no instantly. And bearing in mind, he's the owner of the company. And George, again, no, I'm sorry, I don't understand it. So we had a good half-hour sit down and going, imagine you being passionate about something and asking me for something, and I go, no. Would you feel hurt? Well, yes. Okay. Now and eventually it dawned on him, and he was like, oh, I get it. I still tell him no, but I don't just come out and go no. I went, no, flower it up and go, thank you for your inquiry. Unfortunately, due to, and we talked about the cybersecurity and we talked about that, we cannot allow you to do this. However, and you flower it up. You still say no. It took a while, but eventually he got it. Yeah. And he would go, Andy, I need to say no to this person, don't I? And I went, yes, but, and he went, I need to flower it up, don't I? And I went, yes. He went, can I try? And then can you review it for me? Absolutely. And over the 2 years, he eventually got it off to a pattern that eventually I would go, that's fine, send it.
But
that's a great learning curve for him.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a great story because communication can be a challenge.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Anyway, verbal
That's the best
communication,
time.
exactly. And written communication can be even more confusing. And but I think AI can help a long way towards that nowadays.
We've tickled it. Well done.
Yeah, that, the answer could be no.
Yes, absolutely.
But AI can help reword that to a particular client. And of course, if you work with AI a lot, they'll get to know you a little bit more. And it could, I think there's a place for it that can really help people with their communication, everybody with their communication styles, to make it more professional, for example. Compile a professional way of saying no to this person, and just makes, using these tools to make life better. I think that's what they're there for.
Oh, 100%. They are there to make things better, and they are there to help. But I think in terms of what you're trying to do and bring this, your experiences, again, as we say that, to other companies, I genuinely believe they are missing something. Because even though if I go back to George, for the 2 years that we had him, absolutely I could give him certain jobs that I personally would find mundane. And I'm not saying that to anybody, but George would thrive on mundane because it's repetitive. He's like, I can do this, and I feel a sense of achievement that I've done it. Brilliant. I'll do it again. And in the end, you would just go, I'll give that to George, because George went, oh, and you could see him because he knew the parameters. He couldn't get it wrong, and that made him feel so comfortable that it actually worked for him. The problem with George, if I can touch on it, is that the business was growing, and I needed George to grow and take on more work. Right. But unfortunately, that's where we had to have the chat. And he was like, I'm not comfortable doing that. Fine, would you like to? And that's when he basically said, do you know what? I'm not sure IT is for me. I love working with you, Andy. I love the job, I love the company, but I'm not sure it's right for me. And that was, again, I was like, honestly, I cannot thank you enough for your honesty there. Let's work out. Do you want to continue or do you want to move on? I want to move on, please. Fine, let's work out a path for you of how you can move on and take your into another life. But I had a great experience of that, and I think it's helped a lot, even when I took on this other student, to say immediately yes, because I was not thinking, oh my Lord, where are the problems going to be? I was thinking, oh my God, from the last one and this, I can give him this person, and off he would run.
That's excellent. That's a really good example, isn't it? And it's example to other employers to say, look, there's not a challenge here. This is a great opportunity
It's
for you.
that's exactly what I was going to say, Jacky.
But just please make sure that you're attracting everybody, and that you're not, and that you are fully inclusive. Because, you know, I speak with employers a lot. I'll say, so are you an inclusive business? Oh, yes. Everybody is, you know, fully inclusive. But then when you start to talk about neurodiversity, oh, right, no, I don't seem to be as inclusive as I thought I was.
Yeah.
Or that I like to think that I was.
Yeah.
I sort of thought I had it covered through
But-
doing this and that. And, right, as long as we're on the same page, this isn't a tick box exercise, you really committed to changing your culture, because you're going to have to.
Yes.
You're going to have to, or you're excluding yourself. Then let's work together and do that.
Yeah.
And you can be missing out on some excellent talent.
Well, the other thing I was going to say, Jason,
Absolutely,
is that you're going to have to forgive me, I always get this wrong. What's resilient the part of? Is it the covenant, the arms covenant?
The Armed
thing?
Forces Covenant.
So again, resilient wanted, Jason offered and said, would you like to? It was a no-brainer for us. Jack was like, well, of course, because we're missing out on that opportunity. And I believe that by offering those people, you actually make yourself a better company, because I think we've moved tremendously forward as resilient by having these two particular people, because not only, and I would like to say that it's been a great learning experience for me, and I feel better for it, because I feel as if I was introduced immediately to somebody with, Asperger's or whatever,
Yes.
I would particularly know to go, right, I know how to handle this, or at least I think I know how to handle this. Start asking the relevant questions, looking for where they're beginning to, okay. But I find that great. I've learned. It's a great experience. But back to my negativity, I just think some people, shall I just say, I don't have time for that. And I'm really sorry. You should make yourself time. We're in a world where we need to be more open nowadays. We just have to look around us at the world and we think, do you know what? We need to be a little bit more open.
We do, and accepting that absolutely everybody is an individual
100%.
and has the right to be treated with respect
Oh,
and
gosh,
fairness.
yeah.
Everybody, whether it's a veteran, like you say, a reservist, somebody that you want to attract into your business in a positive way. So, so as well as launching the business in January, which we're really excited about, I'm going to hold a conference in March in Newton Aycliffe, just really to get employers that have got experiences like yours to come along and talk to other employers who might just have not negativity, but just, right, what's this about? How do I go about it?
Well, I'd be more than happy to attend
That
that if you
sounds
want
great.
to. Yeah, definitely, because
Brilliant.
my experience, I think, would be really good. Storytelling, not experience, but
No,
yeah.
that'd be wonderful. Yeah, I'm hoping to have a bit of a panel discussion as well.
Yeah.
So that'll be great, and that'll be going onto the website when it launches in January.
Exciting times, eh?
Fantastic.
Exactly. So the plan for you then of setting up your business, obviously you're going to launch in January.
Yes.
Let Christmas get out of the way. Too much to do with everything
That's
else
right.
going on. But then get it going in January. Obviously, as Jason's just offered, a great stand-up at the Darlington Business Club. We
Yeah,
could have
that's great. Thanks,
that's
Jason.
a really good opportunity for that. Where do you feel as though you'd like the business to go? I mean, obviously we're not even there yet, minus 1 month. But where do you feel as though the business would like to go?
Well, I see that now that I've developed this Belong framework that I feel I can go into businesses and talk to businesses about, that what I've done is created 3 packages to talk to businesses and say, right, I think that you're already here. You're
Yes.
already at sort of stage 2. You've got some great processes in place. You've got the right attitude. You've got a good culture. This is what I've spotted that we could improve on, and I'd like to work with you on that. So there's
Yes.
3 different packages there
Excellent.
available for people. And what people can do then is remain engaged with me, and I'll continue to audit their policies and be there on hand as a consultant to help them through it. And offer workshops. If it's a business that's got a team, I can go in there and offer workshops which will help them get towards that next level that I've
Yes.
created, the 3 levels. So through a combination of consultancy, workshops, the resources, which is a major part of what I'm going to offer, access to resources that people can download, advice on interview skills, on how to attract the right people, how to develop the right people,
Yes.
that's key, and how to help people become leaders,
Yes.
or even what if your leader is neurodiverse, that communication it might be different for the person that's a member of that team. You might say,
I've got a number of companies where I believe that leader is of that ilk,
Right.
and yet I doff my cap to them. They are geniuses in terms of what they are doing and running the company.
Right.
But, without mentioning names again, there are certain times where that particular person will say something or treat a staff, and it can sound exceptionally harsh, but they've learned that he means nothing by it, or they mean nothing by it, and it's just the way that he is. And if you are one of these human beings that you can let things go, I think nowadays, I can say to Jason, God bless him, it's like, oh, for God's sake, Jason, but Jason will understand that's not me speaking, it's the situation that's speaking.
that's right,
And
it's
I think-
acceptance, isn't it?
And that's what I'm saying. If people can be more accepting, which is what I'm thinking about in this particular thing, the company's just doing this. It's massively growing, and that's because everybody has an acceptance and an understanding.
That's right. And that's where the culture comes from, isn't
Yes.
it? And I think that's key to where I'm coming from and what I'm trying to help people with. It's their culture. It's not
Yeah.
just one person. It's about everybody understanding and being on the same page.
Yeah, but if you get that person enjoying what they're doing, there is no limit. There's no limit at all.
Absolutely.
And again, if I can bring Jason back into this with Donna, what she's doing at the moment with all the bags and I've just never seen her happier. And then suddenly, she's off. I mean, that all started with her helping again, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've had to put the reins on her. 'Cause it's like she's there and she's got this idea and she's got that idea, which is brilliant. I love seeing it, like
yes,
you said.
absolutely.
It's great to see her doing that, but it's like, I can't keep up.
No.
And it's like, because her mind doesn't switch off.
No, exactly.
I mean, she was up at 4 o'clock. We're babysitting the eldest son's puppy at the moment because he's away on a training course with his new job. So the puppy decided to wake at 4 o'clock. So
Be a
Donna got up
puppy.
at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So her head, I've come downstairs and there's stuff on the couch, not on the couch, on the kitchen table that she sort of semi-cut that out. Some of the bits I recognise,
Yeah.
Jacky with some of
Right.
the bits. Other bits I'm like, not quite sure what that is, but I know it's something that's working in her head.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's in her element.
In her element, starting from where she was, moving to obviously now here.
Yeah, she's downstairs.
The amount of people that are knocking on the door saying, can you do this for me? Can they do? And she's, bless me and Donna have had that chat. Like, I'm overwhelmed with the support that I'm getting. And I think one of the key features, if I can go back to yourself, Jacky, is that once you get that person, in this particular instance, Donna, being in her element and seeing other people accept, I would like to say they bloom. They blossom.
Absolutely. It's that authenticity. I know Donna as well, and she is herself.
Absolutely,
And as soon
right.
as you are accepted for being you, then isn't that great? Then the world is your oyster. You can have these ideas. You can become a little bit fixated on a project and then just drop it like that. But then you know that that's quite normal for me. So that's how I do things. I get a bit bored with things, actually, so I need to switch things up
Move
a bit.
on, yeah.
But as soon as you can accept it in yourself, then other people do as well,
Yeah.
if you've got the right culture. And I think the world's moving towards that. Well, I like to think so. I'm hoping that acceptance and people wanting to understand more about the acceptance is out there.
I
I'm
think
going to
it
have a
is.
little bit more of a struggle than I don't think I'm going to have any brick walls put in front of me. I sort of think people are going to say, that sounds great, Jacky, come and tell us what you're doing. We could do with a bit of help in that area. And I said, great, well, I've got everything that you need here. And by the time we're finished, you will have a fully inclusive environment there at work.
And I think the other thing is getting in at the earlier stages as businesses grow. That culture's there. If you're going into, and I'm just going to say a name, Amazon, how big they are. If they had a problem there and you try going in at the stage they're at now, it's a lot harder because they are so big. Trying to sort a problem out is a lot harder. Getting that culture, because it's got to be taken in across so many areas.
That's right.
Whereas at the smaller end, when you're starting at the beginning and you get that, it's like a foundation in a house. If you get the foundation correct, you can then
just build
build
it.
the extensions onto it. But if you haven't got your foundation correct, i.e. you've got foundation for a garden shed and you're putting a 3-story house on, things are going to crumble. You've got a lot more work ahead of you.
Yeah, that's right. And I do see I do see SMEs as being, really to answer your question about what does the future
Yeah.
look like, that's probably going to be the people that I'm going
I
to
think so.
speak with, because the large organisations like Amazon, they're already onto this.
Yeah.
Because of course they are. They're wanting to support and they're wanting to include 20% of their workforce, which is thousands of people. So there's a lot to learn from big corporations because they're already that step ahead, because they've already clicked on it. It's a little bit like at the employer recognition scheme that you mentioned before. They're already there. They've already got their gold because their workforces are so big. It has such a big impact. There's a lot to learn from them that we can, make fit SMEs.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
great.
Can I ask, and it might be a bit of a topical question, but the reasoning behind this question is that in terms of something that I've worked on with Resilient, in terms of cybersecurity, in terms of the hackers and stuff like that, we had a conversation with somebody a few weeks ago, and it was based around the fact that when a cyber attack happens, the media, shall I call it, sensationalise it. When an attacker is said to have a particular autism because they are exceptionally clever, they sensationalise them. And everybody then suddenly goes, oh, evil hacker, and they, for some ridiculous reason, they associate the neurodiversity with a hacker. So what I'm getting at is that the media absolutely sensationalises everything. I've got a good friend who works in the publication industry, and they're like, yeah, but nice person does something and he doesn't sell newspapers. Right. Somebody does something horrifically bad and causes chaos, people will click on it and then read it. I said, so we're constantly looking for the bad. And I'm like, yeah, but surely, he went, no, bad sells, Andy. So when you pick up the papers, it is all doom and gloom, but he actually said, but that's our whole method. That's our whole methodology. So back to my question, how do you think the media, people's perception, if anything, will affect you?
I like to think that it's changing.
Yes.
But you're quite right, there's a media story at the moment, isn't there, about autism. And I know that the community, many people within the community sort of say, it's really disappointing because we've built this understanding of 20% potentially of our wider community
yes.
of going to have some neurodiversity, and there's this acceptance of it. If somebody misbehaves and they're utilising potential autism as a reason for that, that's really going to take some steps back.
It is, isn't it?
In some people's opinions, and it's disappointing, I think. So let's just hope that the majority of people like us don't think that. We just think, right, well, you could well have autism, but that's not a reason for this behaviour.
Correct.
And let's just hope that the majority of people think like we do, that it's not acceptable, and it certainly has nothing to do with your autism.
No, I'd like to think that the majority of the people that are sensible, Jackie, probably like myself, they will read a headline, they may click on it, they will read the story, but then they will apply a common sense factor that unfortunately for some people is sadly missing. But you would just go, okay, I read the story. There's always two sides to a story. Okay, I get that, but I will then take it upon myself to make my own decision and, again, make the relevant comment, which in 99% of most of my things is don't say anything. Because, and again, I can go back to a particular example where somebody put something on Facebook and that person was wrong, but the amount of people that, oh my God, that's absolutely disgraceful. And then you go right down to the bottom of the thread where thousands of people have blatantly, shall I say, viciously attacked this person to end up going, well, it's completely wrong anyway.
Right.
But that person was like, yeah, just because Margaret on the Facebook said this, why on earth do you think Margaret's an expert?
Yes.
And that is terrible in terms of that. But going back to what I was saying 10 to 15 minutes ago, we live in such a super fast world that I genuinely believe people are not thinking, well, actually, is that story true?
That's right. And I think social media is fed into that speed of information and decision making, don't you think? That
definitely.
We don't have time to absorb information and think about, well, what do I really think about that? What is my opinion? what am I being told here and who's saying it?
Yeah.
It's just all instant. And
Yes.
people's reactions are so instant. There's not really much reflection. And I think it is a bit of a sad state of affairs that news is so negative and sensationalised. But it's like it has to be to grab people's attention.
Yes, and this is what my friend was saying.
Yeah, and it's not good. And I think that's why so many people just turn away from the news or and not interested in the news because of that.
Oh,
But then-
I don't listen to the news
No.
anymore. I flick through the BBC News app,
I
but I'm
do.
literally just going,
pick up the highlights so
yeah.
that you're not out of the loop, so you can have conversations about current affairs.
Absolutely right.
But actually, much more of it's about celebrity, isn't it, and about negativity. And it's not good. I think there's some changes need to happen there as well about that.
Oh, massively. You know, obviously in terms of the whole thing about, won't mention the name, but the One Direction thing, we all know what we're talking about.
Yes.
Who knows what happened, what led up to that event? And again, I genuinely believe, and obviously being in the IT world, I do have to take umbrage with some of my colleagues on Facebook when they're like, how do you know?
Yeah,
Just
right.
because Margaret said so,
That's right.
is Margaret an expert? Have you-
Becomes a fact almost,
It does.
doesn't it?
It's instant like that. Like I say, I'm joking apart. As Jason, no, I hate Jason. Somebody could literally go, "Oh my God, I heard Andy say he hates Jason," and suddenly, what's happened? No, me and Jason are exceptionally good friends. It's a love thing that I'm telling him I hate it because it's a laugh for the podcast, for this, for that. Why on earth does everybody jump into this one conclusion? So it is interesting in terms of bringing your neurodiversity. I'd be fascinated to see, you know, I will definitely get you on in 6 months, 7 months' time. How's it gone? Because I'd be
brilliant.
fascinated to see the fact in terms of all of that. So in terms of obviously in terms of Jacob and stuff like that, do you feel that, you said he's young, so may I ask how old?
He's 17.
17.
Yes.
So what's his life goals? What's he wanting to do?
Yeah, he has always wanted to work with animals. Always.
Oh.
More specifically, dogs.
Oh, bless.
And more specifically, at the Dogs Trust.
Right.
So I think that says a lot.
It does.
When I had a long conversation with him about perhaps broadening his horizons, dogs, great, but maybe the Dogs Trust might not have that many jobs
Correct.
available. And he's not yet old enough to even volunteer there, though we do go to the open days and it's brilliant. The Dogs Trust here in Darlington's fantastic.
It is.
His response was, well, you always tell me to focus.
No,
Yes.
Mum.
And when I focused, you're telling me not to focus. I thought, I'm not going to win this. So I said, right, yes, quite right. Let's work towards working at the Dogs Trust then. So, yeah, he's very focused on working with animals and he's working towards that. He's at college.
Okay, so the
Doing
one
that.
story, just double checking the time, but the one story, going back to my cousin. So the story that I've got is that Patrick, you won't mind me mentioning his name, when he was growing up, being very young, we were fairly close. They lived down in London, so I don't mean close,
Right.
but on Facebook, obsessed with dinosaurs. And what's your favourite dinosaur? I'm busy running my company and I'm going, Diplodocus. You know, that's fine. Great, Diplodocus. And he would then rattle off millions of facts about a Diplodocus. About a month and a half later, what's your favourite dinosaur? Tyrannosaurus Rex. You said Diplodocus.
Yes.
So going back to what I've seen you've said with Jacob, absolute focus. He was like, no, you said this. You cannot now change your mind. Speaking to Anna, again, why is this causing? Because, you know, it did cause a little bit of upset. And it was like, but why? You know, so Anna, what have I done? I'm so busy. I've said this and I've said that. You must remember, whatever you tell him is black and white.
That's
it's
right.
the truth. So it's like, I get it now. And therefore, right, sorry, I made a mistake. It's now a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And I kept that going. His love for dinosaurs has always been there. Now, Patrick has slight Asperger's. I'm sure that's the one. I apologise if it's not. But he, just like Jacob, 100% focused on dinosaurs.
Right.
Everything was about dinosaurs. He managed to get a flat on his own. He's living his own life now. His love and passion for dinosaurs, basically, I'll jump to the end. He's now got a job at Pinewood Studios, specifically dealing about dinosaurs
That's
and stuff like
amazing.
that. And they've taken on board that whole 20%, whatever it is, because he is now their expert in this. Because they can just give him that and he'll just rattle off anything they want to know
Oh, that's
because
so interesting.
it's soaking in this information.
Yeah.
He can read one thing about dinosaurs and then it's like locked away. Got it. He can recite it on instant. What about this particular blah blah? Bang, he's done it. He's actually turned that art form into an exceptionally successful job.
That's right, and with the support of his family, I would
Yeah.
imagine, because if that enthusiasm hadn't been as accepted or
Correct.
brilliant, you know, he loves dinosaurs. Every Christmas, people get him dinosaur
Yeah,
books and dinosaur stuff. That's really embraced that and allowed him to have that enthusiasm and passion, and it not be a phase, and him actually make a career of
Oh.
it, and it be his lifelong passion, and that's brilliant.
It is.
And I suspect that's the case for a lot of those people that we know that are really passionate about things and have been really successful in their careers. It's because they've been supported in that and gone with it.
Yeah.
And they've made a real huge success of their lives rather than people being dismissive and like, oh, dinosaurs, it'll be something else next week. You know?
Yes.
So
Agreed.
great for him, but also great for Pinewood Studios, his employer. But I think that they've possibly seen that they need a lot of creative people in their
Yes.
industry.
He is massively
That's
creative.
right. And where are all these creative people? And if their policies aren't right about recruiting those people and attracting them, they would be missing out on all that creativity and innovation. So I think that it sounds as though they've got it right.
Yeah, and that's, funny enough, that's what I was hoping you'd lead on to, because I think that the summary of what I've taken away from today, Jackie, is that these people, they're not special. They're not, they're like me and you.
Yes.
They are like me and you. They have, I would like to say, a special ability. And certainly with Patrick, the focus that he's got. We call him the internet sponge because dinosaurs are just
Right.
go, what about this? And he'll go, rah, 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 and off. And I'm just like, wow. But that's because, genuinely, he won't mind me saying this, he's built in that way in his brain to just say, I can accept this and recite it. But turning that into a passion, and then a potential person like Pinewood recognising that passion, I just think isn't that a fit made in heaven?
Oh, it is.
And this is what I believe that you're going to be bringing to companies, to say you're actually missing out, genuinely missing out, if you do not give these people the opportunity and the acceptance. They're just like me and you. You just have to be a little bit more accepting.
That's right. It's all of us, isn't it?
It is.
And when you talk to people, if you've got a business that's got 10 people that work within that business, you are more than likely going to have somebody within that business, 2 people potentially, 3, 4, who for some reason don't quite feel they belong. And you might not realise it because they're getting through the working day. You won't see what preparation has to go on beforehand and how they feel afterwards. So once you've got these people on board, let's make life better for everybody so that everybody enjoys working for you.
Yes.
And that you get the best out of everybody, whether they're neurodiverse or not, or whether they have anxiety, depression, whatever is going on, or just a new mum. A lot of different situations going on.
Absolutely.
Let's make things comfortable and better for everyone, because in the long run, it'll be better for your business.
I think so, and I think if we are a little bit more accepting, we will massively gain from what you're doing and what these people can provide. Because I think if we all do that, I think, I don't want to sound cliched, but if we all learn and work together, then surely we are making the world a tiny bit better for everybody.
I think so.
And I think if what you're saying is right, and certainly, obviously I met you today and for the business club, but sounds as though you've got a passion. Sounds as though you're taking that passion and turning it into a job. But Jason and me, I love my job. I don't think I'm working every day. This is work, but I'm loving it. I'm getting to meet people. Hopefully we're putting a little bit of message out there for people. If you can get somebody in this situation as Patrick, and obviously I'm really hoping that Jacob does go for the Dog's Trust, again, I think that'll be a benefit to him and to the Dog's Trust, because they've got somebody that's absolutely... let's face it, if you've got somebody that's happy at work, then doesn't everybody win? Got a happy employee, the business is growing. Hang on a minute, this is great.
Of course, yeah. And your clients see what a great culture they've got there. Everyone seems really happy, so they're a great team. Yeah. And they want to remain your client, don't they? They want to get on board with you. And that's what it's about. So, yeah, I feel really positive, you're right, and I do feel very passionate about it.
And that's half the thing that I think is a battle with anybody. If you're passionate about the business, it will work. I don't have any doubt about that whatsoever. I've got friends that say, "Oh, I've got this passion, but I'm not sure if I could do it. I'm frightened of failing." You know, again, cliche. I'm like, what if it wins? What if it's successful? Oh, I don't know whether I could leave the job. I've got a pension. I did that with my job. I want to set up Resilient, and I was basically saying to myself, okay, if it doesn't work, I'll go find another job. But it is very difficult taking that first step.
That's right. You can talk yourself out of it.
Oh, there's so many negatives in your own head.
Yeah,
You're your
easily do
own worst enemy. My wife, bless her, she is my PA, she's my accountant, she runs the business. And Jason knows this. She has got OCD, or CDO as I call it, because it's the letters in the right order. But she has got OCD, and her passion for making sure that everything's right, I wouldn't know where I'd be without her.
Right.
And I embrace that passion, I embrace that OCD, because I know that if I go, Michelle, will you please make sure that the company Resilient does this, I know for a fact it's done to 100% satisfaction, because she won't let it.
Yes.
You know, and again, if we have that passion for your neurodiversity business and your people, again, I go back to it, Jacky, and I say, these other companies who are not embracing this, they're missing out.
No, absolutely. And I think that that'll become really evident in time.
Yeah.
I think that businesses are thriving, being really inclusive and moving forward and being successful. Everybody's successful within that business, and I think businesses that aren't doing it soon become obvious. And I think, well, how come it's not quite working out for us? All right, I see we're missing out here because our culture's not quite right.
No, and I think if you look at Donna's business, I mean, bless her, I know that you drove her to set that up, but if you look at what you did for Donna's a huge success now. So proof it can work.
Exactly.
With the right support.
I was going to say, it's the support, but this is where coming to the club. That's what I love about the club. We are a supportive club. We don't exclude anyone. You know, there's people in there that don't like each other. That's fine. They stay away from that person and whatever. But as a club, the ethos of the club is to support each other and to be there and share information. So going back to the bit about companies out there that aren't doing this, some of it could just be they don't know how to. And you coming along and saying, hi, I've got the know-how. Is going to be...
Well, we didn't know about the Armed Forces Covenant
Exactly.
until you mentioned it.
Yeah.
And I was like, great, what's it all about? Tell me more. Yes, we will do it. Yeah. And that's what hopefully you'll bring, Jacky, that, again, some companies may be running so fast, they may not realise that you are out there or the ability to employ these people is out there. And again, by standing up and shouting about it, fantastic. I think it's a win-win situation.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Can I just say what an absolutely awesome episode that has been?
Oh, it's been
really
fabulous.
nice.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for me as well. It's been good to hear some of my experiences resonating with yourselves.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing those experiences, Andy. It's been great. Thank you.
No, thank you very
Thank
much,
you,
and thank you for
Jason.
Jason for bringing it on. I know it was a short notice thing.
It was very short notice.
Very short notice, but very good.
But we got there.
We got there. What we always end up, Jacky, is at the end of the episode, what are you doing for the weekend?
Oh, well, this weekend... Isn't Christmas crazy?
Yes,
It really is.
exceptionally.
We have a long list of things to do, but we're quite excited. My father-in-law tends to come up this weekend every year pre-Christmas.
Oh,
so we look
lovely.
forward to seeing him. He comes all the way from Ely. So it's quite a trip for
Wow,
him.
that's quite a trip.
Yes, but it's good. So there'll be a lot of football talk in our house this weekend.
Yes. Big football fan yourself, obviously?
Well, my husband is a tractor boy because he's from that
Yes.
part of the world. So there's a lot of and Jacob is as well. So a lot of Ipswich talk this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, you just accept it all and smile.
I quite like football, but I'm really passionate about women's football.
Yes.
But then they are as well. If you like football, I think you like football.
That, again, just quickly point out, look how massive they've become in terms of what they've done, winning the World Cup and all of that, all from a very short period of time.
they're
And
fantastic.
you suddenly look at it and you're like, this is fantastic. I mean, I must admit, I watched some of the football World Cup games. They were incredible.
Oh, they're brilliant and great role models.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. So, what about yourself, Jason?
What am I doing?
Sorry,
Hopefully,
what's Donna telling you we're doing?
well, no, I'm telling Donna we're giving the puppy back because we are not keeping the puppy.
No.
I just want that on
On
air.
record.
On record, we're not keeping the puppy. What else am I doing? I'm actually off to a Christmas party on Saturday night with a few of my friends up at Durham. So
That's a lie.
Along with the-
That's a lie. You don't have any friends.
Well, they say that, my friends.
They're accepting you.
They're accepting me. So we're
gonna be
going up
good.
there. So Donna's, obviously, it's not just me and the lads.
No, of course not,
There's
yeah.
a few of us going up there. That's on Saturday.
Where's that at, sorry?
So it's up at the Masonic Hall up
Oh,
in
very
Durham.
nice.
We're going to a Christmas party.
Oh,
festive.
lovely, mate.
So it's not all black tie and all that. 'Cause I
No,
was very
no.
Donna, I will say, was very worried. Jason, have you got the details? No, we haven't done it. And constantly, have you got the details? So I've now got the details, and it
Yes.
said some will wear suits,
Yeah.
some will wear trousers and a shirt, some will wear festive. I said, so there's your answer, Donna.
I will
It's
make my
important.
decision.
It's important because it'll alleviate that anxiety that she has of what I'm going to wear, what will everyone else be wearing, and same around the timings and everything. That's all really important that
yeah.
she has that information, and in order for it to be a nice event for her.
And
Yeah.
this is what I've learned over the years, because obviously having with Donna having her she calls them isms.
Yes.
Whether it's autism or whatever. So getting to know Donna there, it's like I roll my eyes, but not in a
Yeah.
bad way. I'm
No.
rolling them with Donna, but it's like, oh, here we. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I've told you that one. We're doing this, so yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice. And Sunday just relaxing then, obviously.
Sunday relaxing.
From your hangover.
Apparently she's coming in on Saturday to do a bit more sewing. So I've got to
Oh,
drop
lovely,
her.
yeah.
Got to bring her in here on Saturday, and then on Sunday she's got a few more bits to sort out. So, yeah. So
Oh,
I'll
that'd
probably
be
do
nice
drop them
then. That'd be nice, because I know we dropped off some more wheat bags for her, so...
Oh yes,
Yeah.
and I've dropped them off and had to sort of get them stacked
Yes.
away downstairs because she had the Bic sent the photographer down to do the articles on
Yes.
her. So apparently they're doing 2 articles on her, not one. So she was down. So yes, so she hopefully down there busy sewing some stuff for Jacky.
Definitely in her element is our Donna.
Oh,
What
definitely.
are
And
you going to be doing?
What am I going to be doing? I think I'm just going to be switching off this weekend. We have the big Christmas shop to do, so that'll be a Sainsbury's thing. But I don't believe Michelle's going to do the house clean. The house has got to be clean for Christmas. We've got James, our son, coming over from Austria on Christmas 24th, Christmas Eve. So it's the last weekend really before she has to do anything. So it's like massive cleaning. So I'll be cleaning. And then I'll get bored and then I'll go play on my games.
Relaxation. By
Relaxation,
the
yeah.
sounds of things.
Sadly,
Right.
Jackie, what Michelle says is you get up from the work keyboard, you sit down at your gaming keyboard, and you relax with more
It's a
computers.
different keyboard though.
It's a different keyboard.
Yeah.
It's a different keyboard.
And maybe an odd whiskey.
Yes, definitely an order of whiskey. Definitely an order of whiskey. Love my whiskey, my horrors night, so that's it. So thank you both, Jason. Thank you, Jackie. Absolute pleasure to speak to you, and I will definitely put it in my diary to get you in 6-7 months' time and see how your business is going. For the sake of our viewers, how can people find out about you, your website, etc., please?
Great. So the website is www.incluscape, spelled as it sounds.com.
Okay.
Now, the website is really, at the moment, you can leave an inquiry if you want to get in touch, and there's a survey on there,
Nice.
which I'm encouraging people to go on and complete from either an employer or employee point of view.
Yes.
The more information I have, the more I can help people.
Of course.
And what I don't want to do is just go in with my point of view. So the more viewpoints I've got, the better.
Definitely.
So I would really encourage people to pop on the website, complete that survey. It'd be really helpful.
I shall make sure that Alina puts that on the website when it goes on Spotify, please. Yes, exactly. Have you got an email
Thank
address?
you. I do. It's info@incluscape.com.
Excellent. Well, there you go. Thank you very much for everybody. Thank you for my 2 lovely guests, and I hope everybody has a nice weekend. Bye.